4:30, it's time for us to get our meeting started. Director, I'm gonna let you go first. 'Cause I
Thank
think
you
you're
so
supposed
much.
to be busy.
Yes, got to go these days. Do want to give you all some updates. I'm sure you're going to hear this from all the other principals after I go. Just kind of give you an update on testing. I'm certain that you've probably heard lots from students and parents and teachers, and if you've watched the news, you've kind of watched this play out. As far as Scott High, we have experienced some disruptions during the testing session. They've been kind of hit and miss. Some days that the rest of the state was experiencing issues, we were having very few. But then there were other days that there were very few issues across other parts of the state that we were having a lot. So it's just been kind of chaotic. And I'll let Miss Linda and Mr. Bond kind of give you more details on how that's been. But it has, in general, just overall, this is starting our 3rd week of testing. It has overall just been very difficult to get a consistent operation. And as I'm sure the principals will tell you, sometimes it's not really about sitting down and taking the actual test. It's about all the things that build up into doing that. The routine of the day and the routine of just the testing window itself. And we've really been thrown out of routine, and the kids have too, so it's just been a little awkward. But having said that, we, up to today, we are completely on our original schedule with the exception of one period of classes which were unable to test yesterday, which put them a little bit behind today, but we've already got a revamped schedule ready for them, and so they will be caught up tomorrow. So, having said all of that, the bulk of our testing should complete in regular settings by the end of the day tomorrow. We will have several makeup exams and makeup sessions that have to go on Thursday, and then that will leave Friday for any last minute stragglers that come in that still have to make up additional tests. I will just throw this out here. One of the things that is extremely difficult with this testing, with as many subparts as these kids have to take and in order, when you get a new student who comes in and registers in the middle of the testing window, it is almost impossible. I mean, these new students are having to come in and spend their first couple of days in school doing nothing but testing, because they have to take the same number of tests, the same number of sessions as everybody else, and their window may only be 3 or 4 days. And so we had that happen this time, and it's very difficult on the student to have to sit and do that. So I say all that to say this. I really hope that with all of these issues that have went on, that with the change in governor that's coming this fall, and potentially the change in Commissioner of Education, as that normally happens with the change in governor, I really hope these new people will take the time to stop and look at the scope of testing that we are requiring students. It is massive. And I'm not going to get up on my soapbox about that, but I will just say that when it takes this long and this much energy and there's absolutely no room for error, it makes what we're trying to do every day so difficult that it doesn't get you the results that you're really looking for. So I really hope that they will look at that, and I encourage you all as board members, as you go to your conferences and work with TSBA, that if you have questions, reach out to us principals, and trust us, we will give you lots of feedback and opinions, and please carry that to those legislators as you all meet with them, because it is just becoming extremely difficult to be able to get this done. Having said that, the legislature passed a bill. The governor is still on the governor's desk waiting to be signed, so it's not official yet, but should be here in the next week or two, that is leaving this semester's testing up to the local LEAs as to what that will or will not count towards student accountability. We've had a lot of discussions about that at the principals' meetings and amongst the principals. And I think what we would like to propose, and again, I'll let the others speak to some of that after I leave, but I think what we would like to propose is to use a policy that is similar to what the legislature just passed for teachers in schools, which is called the do no harm policy, which means that if the student data comes back and those grades help the student in an area, then we'll use that to improve their grade. If that grade does not help them in that area, then that grade will be exempted from their final percentage. And again, that just gives a little bit of flexibility. Not all testing sessions have been disrupted, so there are some testing sessions that have been just fine. But there have been some that have been significantly disrupted, and we do believe we are going to see a difference in our outcomes because of that. But again, it allows the student to get all the benefit but not be harmed in any way. So I think we would like to propose that you all adopt a do no harm policy for students at the next board meeting as far as student accountability goes for TN ready grading. As you know, for me, we test twice a year. So I already have an entire semester full of students that had absolutely no disruption to testing. They were fine and have counted that as 15% of their grades. So we're trying to develop some consistency and still maintain some student accountability because, again, some testing sessions have not been disrupted at all. And so we want to honor that as well. But again, give a little bit of protection in there for students in case they were disrupted by the things that have went on in the testing setting. Does anybody have any questions about that at all? Okay. And then just to give you all some updates, we are starting banquet week. Tonight is the athletic banquet at 6 o'clock. So if you finish here and get your belly full and you want to come out and eat dinner with us and listen to us brag about our student athletes coming out, that starts at 6. Senior awards banquet is on Thursday starting at 6 p.m. Of course, you all are all invited. You'll have a table there in the front that'll be reserved for you. That is always a special night for us. It gives us an opportunity to honor those seniors one more time before they leave. So please mark that on your calendar. Come out and spend the evening with us on Thursday. Sunday is baccalaureate. 7 p.m. at Scott High. Brother Chase Lay will be doing our service this year, so excited to have a former Highlander back to do our service for us. And an extra special treat this year is our students who are members of our SWAT club, which is Students with the Testimony, will be serving as our choir this year. And so we're going to have students as part of that ceremony. So we're really excited about that. And then graduation, remember, is next Saturday on the 12th at 10 a.m. I'll get you all some more information out by email about that as far as arrival times and places to park. But make sure you mark that down, and we will have spots saved for you on the stage as well. So really, guys, that's all I can remember right now. But if you have questions for me, I'll be glad to answer those now. I am going to have to go ahead and go to get ready for that banquet tonight. But if you think of something after I leave, please feel free to email me or give me a call. Okay? Any questions? Okay. Thank you all so much.
Melissa,
Yes,
did you get my email?
I did not.
Oh, I got
Okay.
it. I got it. I can forward it to you. I think I just need to talk to you about it.
Okay. Here's Tanya. I'm trying to find you.
Okay. Let Ron go with that. I have one item for the agenda, and that's an overnight trip for our girls basketball team to participate in a ball camp in Sevierville. That's in June. It's June the 5th and the 6th. Miss Amanda is going. I think we can trust her with those lovelies for a few days there. We'd like to congratulate our middle school band. If you are on social media at all, they received a ranking of superior at their concert festival this past weekend at Hiawassee College. A ranking of superior is the highest score that you can get, and we've done it for the last 3 consecutive years. Mr. Cole Hunt has done an outstanding job with those middle school kids, but he also took the high school, and it was a mixture of Scott High and Oneida students, and they also got a ranking of superior. So they did a really great job this past weekend. As Ms. Rector said, I agree with everything she said, but I do want to give a huge shout out to all of these computer lab teachers. Mr. Bond had a Skype session set up with everybody, so every day he was on board listening to the state people, so we were getting real-time information. But those computer lab folks all the way from you know, everybody, the high school, Eric Henry, to Miss Jarita, to, and I'm afraid to name them all. There was like 19 on that call every single day. Those ladies and gentlemen would brainstorm ideas. If something went down, they're like, this is what we did, this is what fixed it. So they were literally exhausted mentally at the end of every day. So I just want to give a huge shout out to those folks because they did fabulous. Thank you to Miss Wade in Winfield School, did a fabulous job with soccer. Raining, sleeting, dogs, cats, whatever it was, they took care of that, took care of everybody. I don't know of any mishaps that I saw. If it did, they handled it with ease. So really glad, really proud of my Birchfield girls finishing first, the boys finishing second. Our cafeteria, where Miss Paulette is at, that looks fabulous. My kids are so excited. They got all of our decor and furniture put in, so I'm going to go take some pictures of that and send those to you in an email. They are just excited. It looks really good, so just come by and see that finished product. The kids got to design that. That was my biggest majority of my cafeteria committee were students. So they get to see that finished product, which, like I said, it's been going really well the last couple of days. And I have nothing else unless you have something for me.
What is your promotion?
It is May the 18th. Mr. Emmett Thompson, who is over Mission of Hope, he's going to be our guest speaker. It's at 6 p.m. on May the 18th on that Friday. I've emailed you all out a calendar, and if you did not receive that, please let me know so I'll make sure that you have a printed copy of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Page.
Me? Sharon's here.
Okay, Sharon, let's make a happy back, girl. Thank you.
She should know what's going on. She doesn't. She's not talking to me. I gave you guys a calendar.
I put you in charge.
I like to keep her in the dark. She's my little mushroom. Calendars, I gave you guys one. Our middle school dance is Friday. If you guys want to come up, they'll appreciate it, I'm sure. Saturday, we're taking a group to the Lost Sea. We kind of got that hammered out today, so I'm excited. The kids are excited. The teachers, I have quite a few teachers going. I think I have 4 or 5 that have agreed to go with us on Saturday. That's giving up of their time. So I'm really proud of them for that. Then we also have our music festival on May the 11th, which is on your little calendar, but I want to make sure that everybody that can be there can. Our graduation, Diane, is also on the 18th, but ours is at 10 in the morning. I think Miss Tanya's might be at night. We're finished with testing. I feel sorry for these people that are still having to Skype with Greg. That was a nightmare. It was the most horrible part of my day, to sit there and try to figure out what they were talking about, most of all, and then I'm like, Jarita, did you get that? But it was nice to have that because it was very confusing with a lot of the problems, but it was quick to get it solved. So that was good. But like I said, I feel sorry for Melissa because we've been done since last week. So, and we only had to test in the mornings and we did very few afternoons, but that's because we're small and we're quick like that. And because she's not there, she would have drug it out forever. I am glad that hopefully she'll be back, and any guys that have helped me get through this, thanks. And the tournament was fun. You know, we did play it in the rain, but I was desperate to get it over. It turned out fine. I think the kids enjoyed getting their uniforms dirty, so we had a good time. So other than that, hopefully I'm done, and she'll be back. So thanks, guys.
Thank you. Ms. Newman, you want to go next?
I'm not sure I can follow that, but I've lost my train of thought. I do want to thank Paulette. Our cafeteria was also finished over the weekend. It looks marvelous. Our kids are so excited. Our staff, you'll have to come down and look at it. It looks really good. I am going to give you a May calendar. It has all of our events, so I'm not going to go through all those. I will tell you that our promotion for 8th grade is at 6 p.m. on the 17th. And then our pre-KK promotion is at 9 a.m. on the 18th. And pretty much, as you can see from the 3rd up until the very end of school, it is various things, multiple things every single day. So please come out and be with us on that. We have a sports banquet next Tuesday on the 8th at 6. And we have sports physical, so just a lot of things going on to wind up the year. I do want to give a big shout out as well to Greg and all the technology department. It has just been a nightmare, just to put it frankly. I agree with everything that Melissa said. I think we're just in a state right now. I can't imagine that we would hold harmless anybody for this test, but if it does create a positive for them, we can go with that. But you know, I know a lot of educators and parents and students will come up and say what a nightmare it's been, but really until you've been into it and you're in the middle of a test and all the things that are going wrong, you're just like in awe. You can't believe that that's happening. That's kind of where we've been. I mean, if it could go wrong, I think it did go wrong at various times. So,
They
you know,
usually in the
certainly,
morning whenever the
yes.
lists come on.
yes. So certainly some things to get worked out, but you know, I hope to move forward with that and the kids can have something positive out of that. And I'm hoping if nothing else that they got to see at least what the state has laid out for them in years to come and how the test format will look. I mean, I'm trying to spin a positive to it. But other than that, I don't have anything else unless you have questions for me, and I will leave you a calendar before I leave tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hamilton?
I do have one thing for the agenda. We are seeking the approval of the board, if we can, to get the New Salem Baptist Church of Georgia to come and use our facilities this summer for 2 weeks. They want to use that cafeteria and the playroom and be able to stay there while they're doing mission work around the county. And I need to get that sent in and get approval for that, and then get Mr. Beatty to help draw up contracts with them. And they will come in and sign with the representative, Pastor Mike Barnes. So if I can get that on the agenda, that would be the only thing I have for the agenda. I gave you all calendars and the yearbook, so those are finally in. I'm excited about those. And I'm only going to mention a few things that we have going on, because you can see on the calendar it is packed, just like everybody else's. And I will say before I start that is, I didn't get to Skype with everybody because I had paper testing 3 through 4, didn't get to do any of the online. I was just buried in paper. So I missed that part. I just got to watch it. Yeah, I got to watch them going back and forth, and then I was, you know, kind of entertained with them, but then not. Bless their hearts. I was praying for them, but whew, it looked rough. Okay, sorry guys, but I did enjoy not having to do that. Sorry. Okay. Kona Ice on Friday, and then we are having our mega party for our cookie sale, and that will be on Tuesday, quit laughing at me. On field day will be the 11th of May. Then we will have a bunch of trips coming in and out. Retired teachers are welcome to come on the 18th. They will actually be in the middle school library, but our students and our teachers like to see everybody too, so please come on down and visit with us. Don't just stay over in the middle school library this time, but come around and see us too. Pre-K graduation is 1 p.m. in the middle school gym, and the kindergarten graduation on the 21st. The kindergarten graduation is 10 a.m. in the middle school gym on the 22nd. Our awards day we've set on the 24th, and now we may be looking at where we're having it. It's scheduled to be in the playroom, but we'll look at that and see, and may have that in a different spot. So that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions for me. I hope not. Maybe I won't be able to, speak double or something.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cash?
I don't have anything for the agenda. I want to say it's great seeing Stanley back. I haven't seen her, so it's great to see her. I also gave a calendar, laid it up there for everybody. If I missed somebody, let me know. I just want to mention a couple of things. Our music festival's this Friday at 6. We're going to have it on the football field. We were able to have that a couple years ago on the football field, and it worked out great. And then the last couple of years, rain's always got us. So we're planning on doing that again on the field. Their graduation on the 7th. And then our 8th grade play. And we're also going to do a dinner. We just added that, kind of a dinner and a play. That's next Thursday, the 10th at 6 o'clock. So those are the kind of things this couple of weeks. We have, like everybody else, we have a lot of stuff coming up. I think tomorrow was the only day we didn't have something on the calendar, so we added something to the calendar. So starting tomorrow until the 21st, I already created motions the 21st at 6 p.m. I hope everybody can make that, but we have everything. We have something every day, and a lot of times it's 2 or 3 times a day. I know Fairview is working Mr. Bowles to death. I'm sure every other school with faxes and transportation requests. I appreciate everything he does. As far as testing, I think we had a little bit easier time than some schools. We got finished last Thursday. I know it seemed like when other schools decided to not finish for the day or whatever, like other counties and stuff, when we were ready, I had 5 in both labs. I had 3 in one lab and 2 in the other lab, and they were like on call. So as soon as we got to go ahead, we were pushing through. We had to do only 2 days that we didn't have any issues. The rest of the time we had some issues, so we had to pause or wait for a couple hours, and then we was really flexible. My teachers and staff, and even the kids were really flexible. As far as we knew that there was going to be issues, and at the same time we knew that sometime it would ease up and we get on, ready to get on, we get through it. And I appreciate everybody at Fairview. They really worked hard. I think Mr. Bond said at one of our meetings, I think maybe Mr. Rector, I can't remember, but online testing actually is fairly easy and it's better if it works. The problem is that it's not working. And so maybe they can fix some things and change some things, or something's going to have to give, because what we're doing is it is a headache. It is just very frustrating every day, just trying to look at calendars and schedules. You know, I feel for, I think Miss Donna too, I talked to her, she's having a hard time getting everything in with the number of her kids she has and the computers and stuff. So like I said, I think we had it a little bit easier than some, but it still was very frustrating as well. So that's all I have, unless you guys have anything for me.
Thank you. Ms. Pickett, did you need to leave early?
I didn't, but I'll go next if you need to.
Go ahead if you want to.
All right. I do have one thing for the agenda. You have a copy of our IDEA Amendment 2. We did need to move some money over into medical insurance for our teachers in that line item, and also for bus driver's salary. So got a copy of that up there. And some of the things that we've been doing, and especially some things that's been going on, we did submit our consolidated funding application today for our federal program, our IDEA Part B, and also for preschool. Our federal budget, our allocation was down just a little bit as compared to last year, but it's not a final allocation, so we're hoping that maybe we'll get a little bit more as time goes on. Talking about testing, of course, my students in the CDC classes, they are in the process of finishing up the MSAA. Most all of the students have finished up their reading, language arts, and math, and that was online. Of course, that had to be administered individually to those students. Now we're in the process of doing our science and social studies. Those are booklets, and again, that's done individually. So our deadline is Friday, so we're pushing it to try to get finished by Friday. We're in the process of getting out information to our parents for those children in our CDC classes that might want to come to summer school, so we'll be offering those to our children in our CDC classes. We'll have that from May the 29th through June the 11th. Miss Lisa has been gracious enough to let us use her school again this year. May the 21st, I have my school psychologist and one of the teachers at the high school that will be attending the recertification of our CRT restraint training, so we've got that coming up. And then we're also planning to have our child find in May. We do that around May the 21st, and we will ask Miss Leetta to send out an all-call to any of those parents that are interested in bringing out their children that are not entered in school yet. And we'll do the vision, the hearing, cognitive, fine motor, gross motor, and so on, to give those parents an idea of where those younger children are at. And we're in the process of getting in-service together, already thinking about June. We're going to be doing a day of in-service for regular teachers. Some of my special ed teachers will be presenting that, and then we're going to be doing another day for our special ed teachers. So we're hoping to do that on June the 18th and 19th. So in between all of that, and again, just having eligibility meetings, we're really busy here. At the very end of school, we sort of had an increase in referrals, so we're trying to get those eligibility meetings in, and IEP meetings, and so on. But that's all I have, unless y'all have any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Bond? Your name's been mentioned so many times, you sure?
Are you
you're so-
sure you want to hear from me? Okay. Yeah. Where to begin? First of all, echo some of the sentiments about the lab folks, the consultants, the principals, anybody who had something to do with this test, online test delivery. All the teachers each had their own sessions, but I'm talking specifically about the ones that were in there period after period after period. Wow. I mean, for 3 weeks now, been going through this stuff. And seriously, they're on pins and needles. They're in there trying to get the kids tested, trying to get everything going. And then as soon as, between 9:30 and 11 is always the time that it happens. As soon as that hits, they're stuck. They handled it well. We stayed in communication. Everybody keeps saying Skype, but let me clarify that it was not like video Skype like you see on TV. This is just the text chatting part of it. So it didn't violate any kind of test protocols in that regard. But that communication between us, let me, I had a little command center set up. Tommy saw it when I was out there for training, and what we did is we connected up with the state's command center. So as soon as these problems started coming down, we heard about them in a hurry. I mean, there would be techs and testing coordinators hopping on there, and what I could do is quickly relay that to my folks, because let me tell you, when you're some of y'all are teachers, you understand this. When you're sitting in that room, that's your whole world, and you don't have a lot of outside communication. So when you're doing a test like that and something starts going wrong and you don't have any resources to say what's going on, that's a bad situation. So we learned last year during the first TN Ready attempt how valuable that was. So everybody did well. I would clarify one thing that Melissa said. She said something like, on days where there were not many state problems, there were local problems. There were not any of those days where there weren't state problems. Maybe Friday. Last Friday it was pretty quiet, and today was pretty quiet. But everybody handled it well, and usually the problems would resolve around noon, 11:30 to 12, and then we would jump back in and start testing in the afternoon. Why did it work? Because at that point, many districts, including any number of your big four, decided to stop testing. It has been, and has been this way for years. It is a volume issue. It wasn't Russian hackers. It wasn't somebody running a dump truck into a fiber line. It wasn't a squirrel. I didn't say that, but I figured that was coming. It was simply a load issue with the design of the system and having hundreds of thousands of computers trying to all communicate and do this stuff at the same time. The moment a little blip happened, it just caused a monumental traffic jam that would cause things to be down for hours. Most days when that happened, it wasn't a huge deal. The kids had to pause their tests, or in the not so bad days, they could continue through their test, and they wouldn't know anything was wrong until they got to the point of submitting. On the good bad days, they could finally get everything submitted. And what we would do is we would put a hold to any new testing until all of the old results had been submitted to the servers and verified. On the bad days, and this is where I feel that most of the real problems are going to come from. Last Tuesday, that was the day that they alleged it was the hacking thing. I do believe it was similar to what you would see with hacking, i.e. a lot of traffic being generated. But I don't think that traffic was generated by any other thing than just a bunch of kids trying to test. That day, many districts saw data loss, and we saw. I have a confirmed account of a student who was writing their essay, had finished their essay, and had not been able to submit it. When they go back later to submit it, half of it, was gone. there are going to be numerous instances of this. There's going to be instances of test questions not answered, where when they did go back to submit the test, they thought they had everything answered, but the system will not have recorded it. There is no way that this test can be validated against any kind of norm to say that it's a valid test. That one kid who did everything, having their results just completely wiped out, just kills the whole validity of the whole thing. So Scott had a girl that took a math test, and she did her best on it, but what we come to find out afterwards is that the coding, the computer coding that should have caused those proper symbols and math equations to pop up on her screen, it didn't work. So it was just computer code. And I heard about this happening later on in other districts. So how can those, results be valid? Anderson County had 900 kids that were given the wrong level test. So it's been a nightmare. Our folks did well. They talk about feeling sorry for Huntsville and Scott High, which they should, but I will clarify to you that Scott High and Huntsville is where everybody else will be when we test 3 through 8. And our plans for 5 years has been for testing 3 through 8 in the middle and elementary schools. So the only way to there's 2 ways to solve that. Number one, the tests become smaller. They make us test less. Or number 2, we add computers. Because Huntsville Middle and Scott High will be what all the other schools look like next year, where they're testing for the full 3 weeks. So just and we knew that was coming. Ever since the days of Park, whenever they laid out that ridiculous testing schedule, that's how we knew we would do it locally. So throwing more machines at it will make us test for less window. But surely to goodness the state will back off, because, geez, this is ridiculous. But we've still got testing for the rest of this week. Huntsville Middle right now is through Thursday. I just got an email from the state just a minute or 2 ago that said that the text-to-speech would not be turned on for the duration of the test. And what that is for kids with accommodations, it reads the questions to them. And we have a number of students that still need tests with that. They turned that off today because they finally acknowledged that maybe that was one of the things that's been causing some problems. So now Huntsville and Scott High are going to have to figure out how to get those remaining kids tested the manual way, which is a teacher, an assistant, sitting there reading it to them. So we're not out of the woods yet. So I'll be in my command center tomorrow morning at 8, like every day for the past 2.5 weeks. And we'll be monitoring, everything. And hoping that Knoxville and Nashville and Chattanooga and Memphis don't hop online at 10 o'clock and kill the whole thing. So, you have any questions from me? All right. Thank you.
Greg. Ms. Ladybug.
I'm not gonna touch on testing a whole lot, but we did get the paper test, second and third and fourth are almost done. Actually, second grade we had 13 boxes was sitting out there to be picked up. I hope UPS has gotten that. Hadn't been out there to just check. But we got those ready to go. As far as the online testing, it has been an ordeal. My part in that is not what Greg and them do, and we appreciate so much what the lab people do and what he has done. How I'm involved in that is logistical. If, let's say, there's not a student, schools get new students, they're not enrolled, then I have to put them in. Or if we get a student that's enrolled in the wrong school, and if you need help, which I usually needed help in some of those cases, and you try to call them, and you are on the line for 45 minutes waiting for the Questar to answer, all at once, it just cuts off.
It just totally cuts off, and you sit there and you've waited all that time. Right now, we have one homeschool student left. I called them, finally got them, they helped put that student in, but we can't print tickets. So that means tomorrow, we only have 2 or 3 days to get that child tested. I've got to call them back, tell them, no, it's not put in correctly, we can't print it. It's just been stuff like that, but that has consumed several of my days, just trying to fix things that require the logistical, I guess, knowledge and information that only I can do, and that's been an ordeal for me. Pre-KK you've been hearing about the portfolios. We did get those submitted on April the 15th, and everybody got that done on time. Very frustrating. Another situation where the state did not do their part in a timely manner, but we did get that submitted, and hopefully we have learned from that. We have 3 teachers that are scorers, and they have undergone a lot of training that they are going to train our pre-K and K teachers. So next time, and it is here to stay as far as I've been told, that will be a little bit easier next time, hopefully. And I do admit, this is one opportunity where pre-K teachers and kindergarten teachers do have an opportunity to control their own score this time. So anyway, that's done. Been planning professional development for the summer. We are sending some teachers to training, and we are using a lot of the talents of our own people to conduct some training this summer. We don't have the schedule totally fixed yet, but a couple of trainings you might be interested in that have been set on the 11th of June. The Children's Center's coming down, and we're trying to use all the resources without spending so much money. The Children's Center's coming down and doing child abuse with, I guess, a stress on that reporting and how that is required, and well, along with bullying. And then on the 12th, we have a session on severe behavioral problems that Dara Klein's going to do. She helps Debbie and kind of has practical solutions for some of those problems. So those are 2 that are set, and we're in the process of getting others set. Also, we're working, all of us, I'm sure, principals, everybody's working on completing all the observations. Then we did receive our pre-K grants, all 9. So I sweated that for a while because I was worried about the fact that we had that 3-year-old class, and they'd already said that that would probably affect whether or not we get the grant. And then we had more than we should have students that were over income, but we were fortunate enough to get that grant. Right now, a couple of our classrooms are full. We're still waiting on Birchfield, and I think Huntsville Elementary as well as Winfield to gain some more students. So if anybody out there has a 4-year-old, by August 15th, we have spaces in our pre-K classrooms for them. Our teachers are certified, and there's lots of fun activities, lots of materials, so it's a really good opportunity. I guess the only, I did want to mention, I put on your desk up there something that I just realized that came out today from TSBA. And basically, if you just look at that, I hadn't seen some of the information about the testing that's on here. One of the things says the assessment provider must report on the misadministration to the LEA or LEAs in which the misadministration occurred. This report shall provide remediation plan. Then the assessment provider shall reimburse the LEAs in which the misadministration occurred for any exam that does not result in a reportable score. The assessment provider shall provide an opportunity for students to take the assessment again at no charge. Don't know that that'll happen. They're not, I mean, really a student's not ever supposed to take an assessment twice, so if that's what that means. And then just a couple of other things. Each Board of Education, and this is one thing that Mr. Hall mentioned and we talked about in our principals meeting, And Melissa's mentioned that each local board may choose the percentage within the range of 0 to 15, and this is where we do not want it to affect in a negative way any of our teachers or schools or districts. And it goes on to say, as far as student performance or student growth shall not be used to sign a letter to a school. We were going to get, our schools were going to get a sign from A to F this year. That was the intent. We were going to get a score. Then it says it shall not be identified to identify a school as a priority school or achievement district. It does say the governor hasn't signed it yet, but they do expect that he will. So there is supposed to be another final report that comes out with exactly the information on there. So that's probably the latest that I've heard, with a few details I hadn't heard before. And that's all. I want to thank Miss Hamilton for the yearbook, for remembering me, and also that we are so glad to have Miss Stanley back.
Thank you.
And that is all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Murphy.
It's like I picked a bad night. Make my long speech. I gave you guys.
Doesn't sound good, Karen.
I gave you guys the running attendance, ADA and ADM. In month 8, we took a nice little jump up as we finally got through the flu. So I was glad to see that. But on another note, I may as well mention it now because next month I have no choice. There is a new attendance law that will go into effect on July 1st, 2018. Just to give you a little history on this, and I'm going to bash the state just a little bit more in a different area. The original attendance law was passed about this time last year without anyone's knowledge that it was even being voted on, including the representatives and senators who voted for it. They were not aware that they voted for that, which blows my mind. I don't understand that, how you can vote on something that you have not read. But evidently it did happen, because in the House it was 94-0 to pass this attendance law, which was ludicrous, I'm telling you. I spent 45 minutes, me and Coach Mr. Hall and the lead counsel for the Department of Education and the Commissioner of Education. In November, I spent 45 minutes on the phone trying to explain to them why this law will not work. And I was told, quote, unquote, by the lead counsel for the state of Tennessee that us attendance people were making this way too complicated, that it was so simple that anybody should be able to figure it out. So I asked her 3 scenarios over the next 5 minutes, to which she had no reply and said she would have to get back with me on it. But that she assured us that we were making too much out of it. At the attendance conference last week, that same lead counsel stood before 300 attendance supervisors and said, boy, you better be glad they changed that law from the original one, because it is so vague and there are so many loopholes in it, and you better hope that the Senate passes it this week, because that is the worst law I've ever read. We stood right in there on the phone for 45 minutes, basically telling me how stupid I was because I couldn't figure out that attendance law. So somewhere between then and last week, she changed her mind, and that was the worst law she's ever seen. So long story short, the Senate has passed it finally, as of last Friday, I think, and the House had already passed it before that. It's on the governor's desk now. It is a slight improvement from the original one. There are some things in the original one that any sane person could have read and said, you can't do this. You're going to have to do something with it. But it took them from this time last year to last week to finally realize that what they were asking us to do with the truancy law was basically undoable. And if my face is a little bit red right now, You should have seen it from the start of this thing last year till now. I've spent hours on the phone with legislators trying to make them understand that this was not doable. Now, I'm not taking credit for anything. I'm sure there were many others that were doing the same thing that I was. But also, long story short again, what we're going to get is still not good. Okay? It is not good. It's going to take a tremendous amount of time in the schools to walk a kid to court. Like everything else, I guess John Wooden is celebrating in his grave. Everything in the world is built on the pyramid system or tier. So now you will have 3 tiers to go through before you may go to court. It's still on the governor's desk. We have not seen the final product. I have an idea of what's in it, and it is better, but it's not good. It is not good. One of the first things I'm going to tell you right out of the gate is when a student gets to Tier 1 at day number 5 unexcused, you will have a meeting with that child and parent. Okay? And if you don't try to do that, and you jump on to Tier 2 and it gets to court, then the judge is ordered to throw it out. Okay? What I'm hoping is there's a clause in there somewhere that says if you parents do not cooperate and try to make these meetings, then we can just vault you right to Tier 3 and get you into court just like that. But the number of meetings that are going to take place, I talked to Ms. Wanda today at Birchfield, 152 5-day letters went out this year. 152. That's 152 meetings with parents and students. Plus follow-up meetings. At least one. At least one. And it's not going to do, we don't think, to just pick up the phone and call and say, hey, this counts for our meeting, blah, blah, blah. Now, the bad part about this is, here we are at the beginning of May, and I would love to have had this already in writing so I could present it to you because you have to approve it. So we don't even have the law yet in our hands, and we have the June meeting to get it approved so that it can go in the handbook in July. So that's what we're facing with this new truancy law. I'll give you a little bit of background on that. We don't have a problem with truancy. We don't have a problem with our truancy law. But guess who does? Everybody else has been talking about in this room today. Knoxville, Nashville, Chattanooga, Memphis. They have a problem with truancy. 200 kids show up on Monday morning in one courtroom for truancy. Okay? That's where this comes from. The judges in those districts are overwhelmed. I understand that. But we don't have that problem. But again, the state does just exactly what they want to do. They throw a blanket over the entire state and they say, whatever's good for Memphis, where they have 125,000 students, is just fine for Scott County, where we have 2,800. No one is happy about this. No one. Judge Cotton is not happy about it. I am certainly at the point of rebellion, would be the best word I can put out there. If I could get it shot down, I'd get it shot down today, and we go back to the old way. Our old way works. When we take a kid to court, Judge Cotton knows that we have exhausted every avenue we have at our disposal to try to get that kid back in school and not be truant. It's never questioned. When I take a kid in there, the judge looks at the kid, he looks at the records I give him, and he says, you're not telling us what's going on, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to find out what's going on, and we're going to help you. And that's the best thing you can do for kids and the parents that are involved. 3 tiers. I mean, I can ultimately see where it is a possibility that a kid could be, as hard as you try, a kid could be at 20, 25 days before we can get that kid to court. Because you must jump through the tiers. You have to. We did get a couple things taken out that helped us a little. Got a little bit of breathing room on a couple of things. And long story short again, when we meet this time next month, I'm gonna have something on paper, and you're gonna have one look at it, okay? And I'm sorry about that, I apologize. But, you know, Coach Hall knows all about this, he knows every step I've took in this. I have fought until I am sick of fighting about it. And I'm literally sick over the law. And when you guys see it, I give it to you tonight, but it's not final. It may change, it may go back to the Senate. It may totally disappear and we go back to the original one if the governor won't sign it. I don't know how that works. I'm sick of even thinking about it anymore. I just know that there are some people who are making decisions that affect us every day and affect your students every day and our parents every day and our teachers every day that don't deserve the job they have. And I'll get off my box now because it has grown too high.
Don't sugarcoat it, tell us what you really think.
If you've got about 30 more minutes, I'll do it again.
I think he wins. Testing is like nothing now.
Miss Amanda, do you have anything?
I do. But it's not long. Okay, y'all have, I'm not revolting. Y'all have a copy of this in front of you. This is our FY19 consolidated funding application. The amounts are down a little bit compared to last year, and we did submit that today, and the IDEA is in there from Ms. Davies as well. And then the other thing I have is GP Amendment 7. We're just balancing out the line items there. If you notice at the top of your amendment, you have a copy of this. I did bring $70,000 in from reserves, and that's just to cover the bleachers and the lights if they do come in before this fiscal year closes, just in case. And that's all I have, unless y'all have any questions for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Blakely.
I've got a recommended motion. I hope you have it in your packet, but if you don't, I've got a copy. This deals with our handbooks. It's just hopefully, or with our textbooks. Just a motion that I'd like for y'all to do for me, if you would, that would clear up our final. You got one, and our final textbook thing. So if you would, look that over, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but hopefully that'll satisfy the state on this massive textbook adoption that we've had. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Also, I have a budget amendment number 4. I hope that's in your packet, but if it's not, I can get you a copy of it. If this works out, this will be the first time I've totally zeroed everything out, and I'm looking forward to that, and that should keep me from getting points marked against me for monitoring purposes. So in the interest of brevity, that's all I'll say unless you have questions for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll let your hand back there. Do you have anything?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I do. I have 3 things for the agenda. The first thing is amendment number 2. It's my cleanup amendment, so it should be there in your packet to clean up things before we go out, because we have to make sure that everything in personnel, that there's enough money there for payrolls. I don't want to be written up. The next thing is I would like to ask the board to be able to increase substitute cook pay at least to $8 an hour. It's been $7.25 since I've been here, since 2006. So that can kind of tell you why it's kind of hard to get subs. And I would like to be able to increase that. It's nothing going to cost the board. It'll come out of school nutrition. But I would like to at least increase it to $8 an hour, and hopefully we can get more substitutes and not have a lot of issues with that. And the other thing is I need to have the tables and the chairs bid on Gov Deal that has come out of the 2 cafeterias that the ladies have talked about that we have just completed. And we've taken pictures. Melanie's went up and took the pictures and everything like that. We've got all the stuff ready. We just need to ask finance to bid that on Gov Deal. That's a must. That's the only way. We have to try to do that. Then if they don't sell, I guess we can go the other route and maybe look at donations and whatever. But I was told by finance that's something we had to do. So I need approval for that. And speaking of the cafeterias, they are now all complete. All schools in the county system their dining rooms have been upgraded and completed. As a matter of fact, I've invested $850,920.10 into the school's cafeterias in the last 5 years. So, and this money, just so that the public knows and everybody knows, is not coming from principals or anybody else or the schools or the board or Mr. Hall. This is money that's earmarked as federal. It's school nutrition. It is to be put back into our nutritional program, and it's for the kids. And they're the ones that created it and did it. So when this is being invested and they see it going up, it's come through school nutrition. Okay. We are now locked in. I've been working for 3 weeks basically looking at numbers, and I've got it up to 92.08%. I plan to lock Scott County in for 4 more years for free lunches and breakfast. When we complete that, we will have done that now for 8 years. We did feed them breakfast free for several years before that, but that's doing pretty good, I think. And hopefully, at least we're locked in for 4. We'll see what happens after that. We also, I have just reapplied for Huntsville's FFVP. I just sent in that application, but I'm not going to know anything of that probably until about June. Maybe it's usually when it comes through about June. I'm also very proud of all my managers, except for the new ones that I've just put in. They have all now completed and become level 1 certified with SNA, which is the National School Nutrition Association. They all will be attending, along with Miss April Owens from Birchfield. We will be attending the conference in June. It's the second week in June. They'll all be attending that. Matter of fact, our 2 ladies who was in culinary will be, they will be doing a class. They have to participate in a class. I was in leadership. I will be doing a class also at the state conference. And so we look forward to having an exciting time that week. May the 4th, 2018, this Friday, is School Lunch Hero Day. And that is done nationally. That's, across the nation, and that is designated to kick that off on May the 4th. And School Nutrition Employee Week is May the 7th through the 11th, which is next week. Okay, just for those that would like to know. And I guess that about sums it up. We've been pretty busy, so unless you have questions for me.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Shoemaker.
Well, I really don't think I can top what everyone else has said tonight. We've had people mad at the state, second testing, and Mr. Blakely on his attendance, and blood pressures are high, so my blood pressure's quite fine right now. Burley, sorry. Don't get him any mad. Not I didn't get much sleep last night, I'm not going into that, so I'm kind of walking around a little bit as a zombie. But I do want to say it's very good to have Miss Stanley back with us. I told her that I haven't seen that smile on her in a long time, so it's good to see that back. And I know everyone's been stressed, but as you've heard some of the other supervisors talk about amendments to the cleanup amendments, I'm not going to mention mine because mine's included in with GPs and Miss Stevens, so that's where you will find my cleanup amendment. As far as some other things that's going on this coming up month, it's the big month for sports physicals, so as of next Tuesday, 3 of our schools will be at the Boys and Girls Club having their sports physicals. That's Scott High, Fairview, and Robbins. And then on the 17th, it will be Huntsville, Winfield, and Birchfield on May 17th. So through that process, I think we normally see about 500 to 600 students go through that process on the sports physical. So it's a great thing that's done in our county. We could not do that without, first of all, the Boys and Girls Club letting us use their facility, and then also Mountain Peoples for taking the time away from their offices from where they're able to see patients. They shut certain offices down and come there and perform that for us. So we are very thankful and appreciative to them for them to come and do that for our students at schools. About the only thing I have for you today is I give this to you up there. I'm not going to go through it page by page, but you'll find that in your packet. It is your BMI for each school and the county. So you will be able to flip through and see each one of those. The schools don't have that yet. I will be having a meeting within a week or two, and I will be giving that out to them then, but I know I don't see you all as much, so I went ahead and put that all in your packets. That actually just got completed today, and all that information will be going home to the students within the next couple of weeks. We got 1 or 2 students here and there to try to catch up with and finalize the vision screenings or hearing screenings, but other than that, we've got everything completed. So unless you all have any questions for me, that's all I have.
Thank
Seeing as
you.
how I've done messed up one night today, I better not speak anymore.
Mr. Rhodes.
I don't have anything for the agenda. I would like the board to know that our state school bus inspection was held April 16th to the 20th and went very well. Next week, and I'll send out a letter tomorrow to all the principals, we're going to do our second emergency evacuation drill. That will be a front door only evacuation. I would like parents to know that their children may be home 5 to 10 minutes later on the days that we're going to start Monday with Fairview, work our way down. Burstfield will be on Friday. We'll just go in order. I'll send the letters out tomorrow. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Stanley, you've heard all that. Do you have anything you want to add to it? I'm glad I've been off. I feel great. My blood pressure's really down. After I hear all this, I'm, you know, I don't know, I want to say one thing, that I am so appreciative. I've received so many phone calls and texts and cards and flowers and food. I just couldn't tell everybody. Posters, I told Brent's girls, basketball girls, made me a poster. It's just been unbelievable, all of the information that people have given me and their generosity. It's been fabulous. And my husband and I did go to Nashville yesterday. I did have, in the surgery, I had what they call a surgical team, and went through a lot of tests again yesterday, met with that surgical team, and as my husband will tell you, they all called me the walking miracle when I went in. Even the surgical team didn't think I would pull through. So it is truly a miracle of God that He has put me back here, I guess. I told my husband I'm a little bit concerned. You know, everybody says, Sharon, it just wasn't your time to go. You know, God has a plan for you. And so now I'm kind of worried because I don't know what that plan is yet. And I'm afraid it's a real big plan that maybe I can't accomplish. So, you know, I'm a little bit concerned about that. But I am so grateful to be back. And yeah, it's good to smile again and be with all the people that I love and work with. I do want to thank Susie. She has done fabulous. I have tried to be a sounding board when she gets stressed out a little bit. And one other thing, I think Ms. Newman had mentioned this in a letter that she sent to the board. I don't know if anybody realizes just how much principals go through, how much they do, and how much stress they're under. Everybody here, all of these principals, I know what they go through. And my surgical team actually says that stress is probably what caused a lot of mine. So, and I know these people are stressed too. I know Keith is stressed. But, you know, principals do a lot that really they're not paid for. The hours they put in, which sometimes maybe 14, 15 hours a day, that's not unusual. I'm sure Susie found that out when she took over from me. Especially when you have sporting events and any kind of events at your school. I'm sure Scott's finding that out as well this year as he took over that spot. But as Robin mentioned in her letter to principals, and it's not really going to affect me as much as it is these young people, but principals aren't getting paid. what they need to get paid. You know, I hear a lot of talk about the coaches not getting paid as much, and I don't disagree with that. God knows, I've been married to one over 40 years. I can remember when he didn't get paid at all for coaching. So, you know, nothing against that, but I really believe that the board ought to look at their money situation, Amanda, and see if they can't find some money to, and I'm not talking about a bonus. I'm not talking about a once-a-year thing that may or may not go on next year. I'm talking about an actual salary increase. And I think that's something the board ought to consider. Like I say, you've got some young people in here, you know, the stress is unbelievable. And I think that they ought to be paid for what they do. So other than that, I'm gonna put a smile back on my face and get off my soapbox and just tell y'all that it is great to see everybody again. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, it's good to see you back.
Thank you.
Mr. Hall.
Thank you. Let's see, first for the agenda items, overnight out-of-state trips, Huntsville Middle School boys basketball team for East Tennessee State University, June 18th to the 20th. Talent search to Lincoln Memorial University, June 3 through 8, 2018. Also to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, June 23rd, 2018. And to Louisville, Kentucky, June 27th to the 29th, 2018. Let me start, I guess, first by thanking everyone. I know it's been said many times already with our TN Ready testing session that is still going on, but you know, for the most part, I think it's completed for the most schools. I can't say enough for the job our people did throughout this whole process. Thank you, especially our technology with Greg and our teachers, our students, administrators, everyone involved. Miss Linda, people here, because this was a big overhauling. I know Greg's finally going to be glad, but at 9:30 I'm not calling him anymore and tell you what's going on. And then call him back again at 11 o'clock and say what's going on. It was constant battle, constant chaos, constant frustrations, but through it all. And I've thought of the word, I think resiliency is what our people are. So they pushed through it, we got through it, and probably, you know, talking to other directors, pretty seamless compared to what Summer went through. So thank you to everyone. Job well done. To follow up on what Ms. Rector and our principals stated earlier with the do no harm. I know we met at a principals meeting last week when the Senate and the House were still at that point passing some law, and then it gets held up. Rumor was that the governor was not going to sign the bill until they decided to not pass his budget. So I think we've had some jockeying back and forth between the House and the Senate. The Senate kind of fought this at first. I think it finally went through, and I think now, knowing that the budget will not be passed if the governor decides he's going to veto this bill. I would too like to recommend to this board that we adopt a policy to do no harm to our students and our teachers and our schools, unless this information helps. I think this has been, to know, as Mr. Baum mentioned, one invalid test is too many. Just one. And truly, we will not know what is, what isn't. I think we will never know exactly what's valid, what's not, what went through, what didn't go through. We're going to receive our scores, and we're going to get everything as far as our AMOs. We'll get those things that'll come through, but who's to know if it's true or not? So that's why I would like to make sure that we adopt the policy to do no harm. I think that it's just best for our students, our teachers, and our administrators, and our community. I think it's been a hard thing on a lot of people. You know, when kids go home at night and the frustrations go out, you know, I don't have to worry about this test because I'm gonna get interrupted again tomorrow anyway. I think that's kind of been the process that's going on. But like I say, to their credit, they pushed through. And I think they pushed through to the best of their ability. And I appreciate our teachers and administrators making sure they still stayed on track, making sure they stayed positive, making sure that they did to the best of their ability. And that is very appreciative. And I think I can speak for all of you all when I say that, go out to everyone that are so thankful for the job that you did. As most of our principals have mentioned, graduations. Because we have the baccalaureate, starts this Sunday night, Scott High School at 7 o'clock, is at the time she gave, normally it's the time that it is. At Scott High School, Brother Chase Lay, former Scott High School student, will be giving the service. And that's very exciting, especially to know that Scott High SWAT team will be providing the music. Graduation at Scott High School, Saturday, May 12th, 10 a.m. Then starting the next week, Robbins will be Thursday, May 17th, 6 p.m.
Yes.
Winfield on Friday, May 19th, 10 a.m. Birchfield Elementary, Friday, May 18th, 6 p.m. Huntsville Middle School, Monday, May 21st, 10 a.m. Is that correct for Ms. Lisa? Also in Fairview, Monday, May 21st at 6 p.m. I also would like to bring a list for the following teachers for tenure for the 2017-18 school year.
Ours is on Friday, the 18th at 10.
18.
Did I not say that?
You said
Winfield, Friday, May 18th, that's what I got wrote down, what did I say?
The 19th. We're doing it the 19th.
Did I say 19?
Yeah.
Happens to the best.
My bad. I got an 8 there, I just looked at it wrong. Friday, May 18th,
At 10.
10 a.m. All right. Thank you. All right. Teachers that are eligible for tenure for the following school year, and we'll double check, triple check, and I'll like for principals also do the same. Right now, we have for Birchfield Elementary School, Whitney Ellis, Hannah King, and Alicia Terry. Fairview Elementary School, Carol Dopp, Jennifer Hatfield. Huntsville Middle School, Ashley Hewitt, Sharon Woodward. Robbins Elementary School, Judy Reynolds, Johnny West. Scott High School, Benji Bruce, Michelle Carson, Jason Jeffers, Kathy Oberjanski, Chad Patton. Countywide will be Cole Hunt and Maria Bruce. That's all I have. Unless y'all have questions for me. So I want to say it's good to see Miss Stanley. And Miss Stanley, Coach, she never looked better. All right? You look great being here tonight. Good deal. You always look good. Good color for you.
Miss Esther,
Still costs you have.
Miss Esther, could I go ahead and give everybody a copy of this amendment, just in case it didn't get in the package? That way you'll have it for sure. You don't want to, I think I got 2 there already.
Cox, did you have anything?
No, real quickly, I'd like to say, thankful for every one of you that participated in this testing. I was out there way beyond my train of thinking, so I don't know what he was doing, what he was talking about, but I was listening and trying to chime in, but Greg done a good job. And I heard some of you guys, back and forth when he was talking to you. So, hats off to you, Miss Stanley. Love you. Glad to see you. Thank the Lord that you're still with us.
Absolutely.
That's all I have.
I want to thank Ms. Hamilton for our annuals. They're very nice, I appreciate that. And glad to see Ms. Stanley back.
I agree with both of those, and I certainly know how disappointing it is to work towards something and then it mess up like it did this year. I think we ought to all give the state a score instead of it coming this way. And some of us did go to a safety training a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of things were mentioned that we'll be hearing more about. And they did say that we'd get more money this year than we will in the future, just because, and they were encouraging us not to, hire people and do things like that we couldn't carry on our own account in the future. More things would be used for like crisis buttons or cameras and things like that, because we certainly won't get the same amount of money in the future. And one thing that was pointed out, that they said that the AEDs are a part of safety training. And I know I was guilty of this, so I can talk to it, but it says lots of times we train our safety team or our crisis committee, and that's all that we do the special training with. And that we should make everyone, and our faculty and our staff, aware of how to use the AEDs and where they are.
Can I amen to that?
Yes, you may. Yes, you may, yes, sir.
Can I say that we do that at the first of the year? We have a meeting with everyone in the room. We have the dummy out, we show them how to hook it up, how to do the CPR. And we do that every year at the first of the year, so
With
everyone.
all
everybody.
faculty,
Well,
okay, and staff?
most of them are there from time to time, but no, not every single one of them. But it's
And
mainly
that's just
teachers.
what they were emphasizing, Ms. Schumacher, is like, for example, if you've got a couple of night janitors, and one of them happens to have a heart attack, does the other one, is he prepared to use the AED? Just to develop a conscientiousness about that everybody, when we got new people that come on, that they are aware of how to use those. Do we have one here?
We didn't.
We do. Okay, see, I didn't even know where it was. Thank you. Thank you, that's all I have.
Sharon, it's great to have you back with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for the annual, Lisa.
Yes, Sharon, it's so good to have you back. You're still on our prayer list also. Thank you, Lisa, for the annual, and thank everyone for all the hard work, and Greg for all you've been through.
Mr. Stanton.
Y'all done a great job doing this test. That's all.
Yeah, glad to have you back. You guys gonna be out of house.
He's absolutely ready for me to go back to work.
Yeah, we could.
Obviously, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out we've had a lot of trouble with our testing and stuff. But personally, I think we've created a great environment through our technology and everything we've got done, and all of our principals and teachers. I think they give 100%. In my opinion, our school is probably much more ready for this than most schools in Tennessee. But still, on their end, till they make that thing big enough to take all this, we're all kidding ourselves. So I guess it's something they'll argue about down there. And so we do appreciate our attendance officer for fighting for small counties like us and everything. Would like to mention to the board, I don't know whether y'all noticed this or not, but we've been talking about our nurses and RTI and stuff like that. And they act like they was going to give us money for that, but that didn't happen. Just talk. I don't know whether any of y'all noticed that or not, but they didn't make that law. RTI or nursing, which that's what they talked about doing, but it didn't happen.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, I think the board's going to meet right after we dismiss, so you guys can stay or go home,